so also with trapped emotions, we're sending out the frequency of those emotions and we're unaware of it. So if we have a lot of trapped abandonment or anger or, we're sending that out, and it's actually informing how people respond to us and how they treat us. So for another one, so releasing the heart wall too. I mentioned that I did that. That's very powerful, and sometimes it's very obvious shift. Sometimes it's more subtle. But what I experienced was my heart area felt open and lighter, and I don't remember ever experiencing that. And my heart wall started forming when I was 2. So it had been a long time since I had been totally free of that layer. But another client that I worked on her heart wall, she said she noticed an enhanced ability to experience all of her emotions. And she said she's normally the kind of person that doesn't feel anything. And so being able to feel was a magical experience.
Wow.
So sometimes it can feel more profound.
Sure.
Yeah. And it can help with, manifestation. And I mean, your heart energy goes out really far when it's open. And,
Right.
it helps you connect with other people. And the wall is formed when we get hurt. When something hurts us, the subconscious pulls a trapped emotion and makes a layer, and it's to protect us. But the problem is it also keeps people out, and it keeps us from connecting with people on a heart level fully. And, so, having an open heart, like I always thought I'd done a lot of work and my heart was really open compared to where it had been, but that was a whole nother level when I released that. Yeah. And then just one more success story here.
Sure.
And so another client that I was working with said that she came to me because she had cancer, and the cancer went away, but she was still very fearful about it coming back. And she went to a psychic healer and who said, "Hey, I just heard of this approach called emotion code, and I think you should try it." So she read the book and then sought me out for help. I'm finding sometimes people, they read the book and they don't trust themselves to do the muscle testing. And, so it's good that they're reaching out, and I'm always encouraging them also to read it and practice it and do it on their own. But so for her, she said what helped was that it helped lower anxiety about her cancer returning. She said, I still have some days when I feel anxious about my health or a feeling of sadness, but these are fewer and less severe. And she said, I can now acknowledge them and take steps to alter my mood or negative thoughts. I've experienced more days when I feel happy, more energetic, and peace of mind. So that's wonderful. And and she came to me for that, and we ended up doing some inner exile work and as you do the emotion code and you discover the traumas and the things that really have, people have been impacted by, it's very, eye-opening. I mean, we just go through life and we don't realize, that time that my fiance just left me, right?
We bury it.
But
we get on with life.
There's a lot of damage that sticks in there. And so also with trapped emotions, we're sending out the frequency of those emotions and we're unaware of it. So if we have a lot of trapped abandonment or anger or, we're sending that out, and it's actually informing how people respond to us and how they treat us. So it's
Would you say that we might even bring it back into our experience?
Yes. We attract more of it. Yes. Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah, that makes so much sense. Definitely.
So we can just go through life having no idea that we're sending out those
That's
messages.
kind of the whole idea.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Keep us down. Yeah,
Yes.
totally. But that's another topic. But but now we have the tools.
Yeah, remembering we can heal ourselves, right? And we don't need allopathic medicine to give us a medication and just put a Band-Aid on it, right? We can.
There you go.
Ourselves. And I can tell you, I don't have any health problems, and if I get like a slight pain somewhere, I just do emotion code and I find a trapped emotion and release it, and it's gone the next day.
I
So
love that.
yeah,
Yeah.
just
Yeah, that's beautiful.
returning the power to the people, right? The power of healing.
Uh-huh. Beautiful. Yeah, and it's not anything new either. It's just being brought back into our collective consciousness, these methods, and uh and anyone who has the courage to pick it up and run with it is, is a pioneer in this day in society.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
And there
totally.
are a lot of methods. And for me, one of the reasons I was drawn to emotion code is I'm not a visual person. And so doing anything that involves visualization, which a lot of healing techniques do, I'm not able to visualize it. I'm working on that. And so for me, this is a really helpful tool because you don't need that.
Yeah.
Just communicating with the subconscious of yourself or another,
Hmm.
and you're doing muscle testing. And there's um, the trapped emotions and the heart wall are emotion code, but then there's also body code, which is the next book that Dr. Bradley Nelson wrote. And that involves all kinds of different energies. So, when I read that book, I'm not certified in that yet, but I did some work on myself and I was able to release what are called negative broadcast messages. So we can send out messages like abuse me and not
Yeah.
know we're sending that. Uh, Released negative energy cords that were attached to people and released negative entity attachments. All of these things are part of body code, but I was so excited to find out that I don't need special training to be able to release an entity attachment for myself. I can just do it,
Just do
right?
it.
Just do it. Just I find out it's there and release it. And it's just intention.
Yes.
We can release viruses energetically from our body. There's all kinds of things that we can release. And
Yeah.
it's just so for me it's a very, very helpful tool. And one of the things I love about emotion code and tapping is that you don't need an expert. You can do it by yourself.
Hmm.
And those are the kind of tools that I feel are the most empowering to my clients. Once they're
Right.
finished with the work we're doing, they can continue on their own.
I love that. That should always be a practitioner's goal, is to help people be able to heal themselves,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah. And that we have everything, we have all the power within us. I mean, we do. It's just a matter of remembering that. And so I love hearing you say that for sure. Of course, I knew that. But where can people find you, Erin?
Well, so I have my private practice is called Our Story Youth and Family Therapy. So you can
Our
find
Story, what's that?
Our Story Youth and Family Therapy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our Story Youth and Family Therapy.
Yes, yes. And then I, if anybody wants to email me, it's just Erin, Erin at ourstorytherapy.com.
Okay. Erin at Our Story
Therapy.com.
Therapy.com. And I'll put the links down
Oh,
in
great.
the details. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
So
that's
going back to your question earlier, just thinking about sort of the identity shift I needed to make, when I was
hmm
incorporating the emotion code into this work and added a page about it on my website, which people can check out. Feeling uncomfortable about that at first, thinking, okay, this is not, as a therapist, I was trained, we have to have it be evidence-based therapy, right? And you need, and so that's just kind of been hammered in, to my mind. But I'm also an art therapist, so I've always been a little bit outside the box. And there was a lot of years where art therapy wasn't accepted as evidence-based, or it was just dismissed. And there's still probably some of that going on. But
sure.
so I'm kind of used to being an outsider and doing things differently. So I have some comfort with that already. But it was a shift with the emotion code. I had some fears around, are people going to not see me as legitimate, therapist if I'm doing energy work? And I've done some, I've integrated that and I'm fine with it now. And just seeing what it's done for people
Yeah.
and the results, and it's okay. Some people aren't open. And if they're not, then I just, I meet them where they're at. It's just,
hmm
it's something we can use if they want to.
hmm
But I'm always secretly happy when they want to, because I I get a lot of satisfaction out of knowing that I'm actually doing something that's that's really helping them release. We're not just verbally processing, or I'm not just teaching them some skills.
Mhm.
There's a release happening. And
Yeah,
so,
there's right. And they have a tool they can use on their own
yes.
whenever something comes up when you're not around. Yeah, that's um that's really important. So let's go back to people with empathic abilities.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if we covered that real, dived into that much. Did we?
No, no. So we could
Did we?
talk
Okay.
about, I thought about, self-care for people that are highly sensitive and empaths, self-care and healing techniques. So like I mentioned, both the motion code and the tapping are really helpful because, empaths tend to suppress and absorb emotions. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and the tapping, uh, you can do it for releasing negative thoughts and emotions, but you can also do it to call in what you want. So I do a daily tapping affirmation where I'm just doing the rounds as I'm tapping on affirmations for what I'm trying to call in. And it's very interesting. I find when I do it, I get more inquiries for clients looking into my services.
Nice.
And I was having that happen, but I was having clients who wanted to use their insurance, and I don't take insurance. But so then I remembered, I don't know, you're probably familiar with Dolores Cannon. I love Dolores Cannon, but
Oh yeah. Yeah.
she said, when you're trying to manifest, to be very specific. For example, if you're looking for the love of your life, make sure to say that they're not married already, right?
Yeah.
And so with the affirmations, I changed it to, one of the affirmations was about calling in clients for my practice, but I changed it to private pay only, right? I had
Mm.
to put that detail in there. And then I started hearing from people who can afford to pay on their own.
Oh,
And
okay. Yeah.
I know that it's an expense. And I try, one of the things I love about the emotion code too is I feel like it helps me be more efficient with being able to do this work more quickly. And
Yeah.
so people aren't having to spend a ton of money. It's time and money, and I get it. Um, I'm just not interested in working with the insurance companies anymore. And, I don't need to go into that, but
I can
um,
only imagine.
well,
Okay.
it's more expensive. Well,
Yeah.
for example, they wouldn't cover emotion code. That wouldn't be covered, if I got audited or something. Uh,
Right.
so
Right.
I have a lot more freedom that way. But so yeah, so the other things that help, so doing that daily affirmation tapping. If anyone's interested and they want to email me, I am happy to send them my handouts for daily affirmation tapping with the points and also kind of some different ideas. But so
Nice.
doing that just takes a few minutes, but I've really seen as soon as I stop doing it, the inquiries go away. And as soon as I start again, they start. It's very
They
fast.
start up.
Yes.
So let's do a quick one for
Yeah.
for us and people watching, okay?
Yeah.
Um, for the audience, let's say abundance. I don't know. Is it something you have to be specific with, or it just probably doesn't matter?
You like, I'm open to abundance on all levels.
Okay.
I I easily find, like-minded friends and community and build lasting friendships. My clients easily find me and I find them easily. Um, I attract, or I'm open to love and connection in my daily life, right? I one that I like is my masculine and feminine energies are balanced, right? And um, I another one I like is I set boundaries with compassion and love. And you could do. I'm always open to receiving guidance and signs from my spirit guides, my soul family, my ancestors, my higher self, my guardian angels. And just anything, just even I'm thankful for another day on this earth, right? So as you're doing the affirmations, and you can make a list. I usually do my list 3 times because 3 is good for manifesting, and it only
Right.
takes a few minutes. But also, as you're saying those, to really say it with your heart open,
Mm-hmm.
enthusiasm, and
Mm-hmm.
so that's helpful just to set the tone of the day. I like to do it in the morning, but just to get the day going. Um, The other thing that I think is really important is, just thinking about, with so much in this world that's out of our control, that it's really important to be calling in more of what you want, what your soul desires, to making that be a regular practice. Because when you're sending out to the universe thoughts or words about, I'm always broke, I can, no matter what I do, nothing's working. The universe is hearing that and saying, oh, so you want more of that?
You are,
Uh-huh.
yeah, totally.
Right? So you need to counteracting that with sending out what you
You're
really
affirming it.
and
You're
being very,
basically affirming it.
yes.
Yeah.
And let's see. And then just thinking about, you know, the last 4 years of my journey has just made it really clear that getting in touch with your higher self and tending to your inner states is the most important thing you can do, especially if you want to help others with their healing and to be more effective at that. And um, so one other thing I want to talk about too is just ways that highly sensitive people and empaths can do that, get in touch with themselves and help themselves heal. But, first just thinking about getting really honest with yourself, something I did during that time of the dark night of the soul, what needs to
Mhm.
change, and taking the steps to do it. And also really, thinking about that, depression and anxiety, with allopathic medicine, we tend to think of them as a chemical imbalance in our brain. But, emotions are something we experience to provide information. And they're usually telling us something is out of alignment in your life, something's out of
Right.
alignment with your values, something's happening where your boundaries are being crossed. There's something that you really need to change. And so looking at that, and also really thinking about, are your emotional needs being met? Right? We all have very important emotional needs. And if they're not being met, we are going to experience depression and anxiety.
Mhm.
We're going to have a harder time and in our relationships. And so thinking about that and figuring out what drains you, what replenishes you, that also maybe looking at certain people that you're around that just drain all your energy and deciding some boundaries around how much you give to them.
Yeah.
Um, and then doing things to replenish yourself. And, so thinking about what makes you happy, what brings joy, and if you can't, sometimes people can't think of that. So just thinking about, what did you love as a child, right? For me, like I loved pink and purple when I was a child, and I've just been embracing pink and purple, and because it makes me happy. And for years it was black and gray, and now I'm like, I'm going to wear the colors that make me happy, right? So
There
doing
you
more of
go.
that. Also, really important, and this is something I've learned the hard way. And if you can, to get out of toxic work environments as soon as you possibly can. Um, they're just so depleting and draining. And a lot of empaths that are natural caregivers just have it in their mind that they need to sacrifice everything to help others. They put their needs last. They don't practice self-care. Um, and they get burnt out. And
Sure.
and those environments are really, really damaging. Unfortunately, in mental health, I've been in a lot of them. And the last 4 years just working for myself has been amazing. So, I encourage anybody to figure out what they can do to create a life where they don't have to be in those environments anymore.
Yeah.
To be able to create financial abundance for yourself. I think that's a lot of what happens with empaths too, is they get in jobs that just they don't pay enough, and they're just struggling all the time, you know.
Mhm.
And so that's important. And also ending relationships that are not in alignment anymore with your path of who you're becoming, where you're going. That can be hard to do, but also very important for healing, for empaths. And and just remembering that we are one with source, and that we do create our lives, and that we have help, and we can ask for help and guidance and signs from our spirit team, or however you want to
Sure.
call them, and they're happy to provide that for you. I get a lot of angel numbers, but they help me throughout the day. The different numbers that I see on the clock, I get
Yeah.
1111 all the time, and
That's that's my number too. I get that all the time. Yeah.
a lot of 555 lately, which is all about major change, and I'm going through that, but it's reassuring. Um,
Hmm.
and then also, I think it's important too to have a daily practice of some sort of meditation or prayer. That could be, I like to do kind of walking meditation, just walk and connect down to Mother Earth and send down healing and draw up, life-giving forces, and
Yeah.
just appreciate the trees and connect every day. That's really helpful. I think it's really important for us all to collectively be doing some form of prayer, to be, to sending peace and healing to the earth, to the planet, ending wars, calling in, the age of Aquarius and universal abundance for all, and, personal sovereignty, bodily autonomy, all of that. To put that out there to counteract, kind of the dark timeline that a lot of people are still on. So, and that's one thing we can do when we're feeling devastated or powerless about what's happening in the world, is to do that daily practice, and it really does make a difference.
It does. It makes a huge difference. Thank
Yeah.
you. I call it my devotion time.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It
And
does. It makes a huge difference.
yeah, and there's different groups of people that are coming together to do, like, to send peace to the world. Pam
Yeah.
Gregory, who's an astrologer who I follow, does a Sunday practice where people get together and just send peace and healing to the planet.
Nice. Yeah.
There's people that do the Power of Eight groups. I can't remember her name right now. I think it's Lynn Taggart who wrote that book. Um, but you get groups of 8 people together that send prayer towards each other. And what they've found is that the people that are sending the prayer for the other people are getting just as much benefit and
Sure.
change.
Sure.
Um, and then,
Yeah, we're excuse me. We're actually, we're channeling that energy.
mhm,
It's
yeah,
like our vehicles are channeling that energy, so it can only help us too.
yes. And the other thing too, I think, is just doing things like yoga, meditation,
Body
uh,
movement.
earthing. I've been sitting in my backyard with my feet in the grass. There's a couple
Yes.
documentaries about earthing that are really good, that are free on YouTube. And then also, right, eating healthy, gut health. I mean, that's the thing, right? If we have another, the powers that be are giving hints that there's another pandemic coming at some point. And I tell people, I mean, that's the best thing you can do, is get really healthy, and it starts with your gut
Right.
health. That's the best defense you have against any
Totally.
virus.
I
You know,
knew our gut health was really important, but I had no idea how important. I mean, I just hearing those numbers and makes so much sense. It really
yes,
does, because we are what we put in our bodies, whether it be our thoughts or our food, that kind of thing. That's what we're made of,
right,
basically.
right,
Yeah, we are what we put in our bodies.
right. And you just think about, I mean, I saw a headline the other day in the news that said that highly processed food is causing health problems for people, right?
You think?
Right? But, and you think about that, like during the lockdowns, we had to shut down our schools and our therapy offices, but I was working I didn't have a home office at the time. I was working in a therapy office that I would go into every day. With the clients couldn't come in, but I was doing telehealth from there. But the vaping store next door, and the cannabis store on the other side, and there was a strip joint across the street, and the liquor store, all the fast food restaurants, they were all open.
Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Not. Yeah, totally. And private businesses, like stores and things like that had to shut down, but the big box stores were able to stay open.
Yes, because you magically don't get, sick in a
I-
Target.
I- In a Target, yeah, or a Walmart, whatever. Yeah, none of it made any sense whatsoever. And I refuse to buy into that storyline, because it's all lies.
Yeah,
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 in my
But I think that that's the silver lining of what we went
Mhm.
through, is that a lot of people did wake up, and,
Yes, totally.
and once you see things, you can't unsee them. It's impossible,
It is. Yeah.
you
I'm making a t-shirt. I told you so
know.
on the back. Hashtag conspiracy theorist.
Right, right.
Yeah, because it's true, you know? It's like, come on, fool me. How many times you gonna try to fool me? Once you get hit over the head and you see through the veil, then you can't get fooled anymore. You see straight, through the BS.
Yes.
Yeah. And once you heal, like what you're helping people and what you've done too, you see through it. You're able to see through it. It's our blinders that and that's the pain and the wanting to for someone outside of ourselves to save us, you know, that
Yes.
keeps us in that state of believing anything that comes down the pike from, the powers that be kind of thing.
Yes. Yes.
Program. People are easily programmed.
They are. They are.
Mhm.
And there's an astrology, it's called evolutionary astrology, but it talks
Mm.
about that about 70% of souls are not here to individuate and wake up and evolve more spiritually. They're really here just to kind of master the 3D reality. And
And when you think about
it's not to say, anyone's better than anyone else. It's just that I think recognizing where people are,
Mhm.
and that's just kind of their soul journey that they're on, is not about individuating and separating from the pack.
From the
It's
herd,
about belonging and complying, and and
right?
the experts, and not thinking for themselves.
And if we didn't have the contrast, we wouldn't be able to wake up, right? Yeah,
Yes.
and Dolores Cannon talks about that, and she had a client, during a hypnosis session that called them background people,
Yes.
and right. So it sounds like that's the same thing that
Mhm.
she was talking about. And we need that. I guess we need it to help us see
We
what
need,
the
we need
contrast,
right. We need the darkness to see the light. Yeah.
right?
But it is an exciting time to be alive, and I do a lot of reminding myself that when things do feel difficult, and or there's just so many unknowns, and that I believe I chose to come here at this time for a reason, to be a part of this
Sure,
transformation, and that shifts it more to feeling excited instead of fear.
right. Because this
And that,
is huge. We'll never
yes,
be going through this ever again. Humanity will never be going through this shift again. And I always say I'm so happy that Yeshua talked me into coming back. Not that he would have let me not come back, but I would be upset if he would have let me, because I'm like, then I miss all this. Of course, we're still doing things from the other side, but to
yeah,
be in the trenches, in it is huge.
yes. And how old were you when you had two near death experiences? How old were you when you had those?
Well, I was 9, and I for the first one, which I remembered after my second one, and then he said, "You don't have to stay. You can come. You don't have to go back." And I said, "But I want to, because I didn't want to start over." But I had the awareness then. But in 2001, I'm like, and I wasn't awake yet in
Yeah.
2001. Yeah, I was in my 40s. I was early 40s, and I'm like, I don't want to go back. I want to stay here with you. And he said, "Well, you're going to want to go, believe me." And, after the whole experience, he was right. He, he showed me a lot. So I was
Yeah.
able to
Well,
get the drift.
I'm glad you did.
Me too. Yeah,
It's so funny because for a lot of years, I've been into astrology for a long time, and that's also been part of my healing. Just being able to connect up what's going on in my life with the larger cycles, and it all makes so much sense. And
yeah,
it's just a reminder too of that we're so connected to these larger cycles in the universe. And but I was listening to an astrologer, and she was saying there's something really important that you need to do in your life. And just kind of, what is this thing? And then I went to go get my hair done, and the person who was doing my hair mentioned going to a psychic, and I just had this thought. that's the thing I'm supposed to go do. That is it. That's the thing. And she recommended you, and that's how I found you.
Oh, was that
Yes.
Stephanie?
No, her name was Carrie, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, and I don't know if she did your hair, if she just went to see you, but
Okay.
she. So that's how that connection happened. But and so for I don't know, it was maybe a month before I had the appointment, and I was just sending out kind of broadcasting that I was going to see you. And when I showed up, I think it was six of my relatives who have passed on were all there, just waiting, wanting to communicate. And it
Yeah.
was just so eye opening to just think, I was sending that out, and they all heard that signal, and they
Hmm.
all showed up, and
Yeah.
it was very powerful. And my father, who died when I was 4, was there, and that was incredibly healing to be able to communicate
Nice.
with him. And
Oh,
from
I
what I
got
understand,
goosebumps.
yeah, I've been told that we do work together, during dream time,
Sure.
and which I love that we're still connected. And obviously, my grandmother is still connected because she shows up every
Yeah.
time I go see you.
Yeah.
And I also feel her sometimes as just a hug or
Right.
some sort of message when I need it.
Yeah. You know, what I've learned from spirit is that there's really nothing that's changed for our relations in our relationships. They're still around us and they still love us just as if they were here. They just are in a place where they're in a place where they have more time and energy to be able to help us. But nothing's changed with them wanting to be around and still wanting to help us or just hanging out, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And the connection never goes away because of our love and our soul group that a lot of authors have talked about. And we see it and we know it and we feel it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I'm still learning about kind of soul group and all the different terms and definitions of things. But, I was
Mm.
thinking that maybe my grandmother's part of my soul group because she's so, consistently,
Present. Hmm.
yeah, yeah. And
Sure.
she was also in my, in this life was very instrumental in, I attached to her that early childhood attachment. She was a caregiver, and I think I would have a lot more problems without that attachment. And um, so I think there was a reason we came together in this life, but she's also still there more than other families. So it makes me wonder if she's part of that
Yeah.
soul group.
I'm sure. I'm sure she is. Yeah. You can always ask her.
Yes.
It would only make sense too. Yeah. Well, Erin, this has been fascinating. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your amazing work. I'm so happy for you and I'm so happy for your clients. And those that are watching, contact Erin. It sounds like amazing work for sure that
Thank
she's
you.
doing.
Thanks so
Yeah.
much for inviting me to talk with
Yeah.
you and your
And
audience.
everyone, thank you for watching. And please do the YouTube thing if you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, share your thoughts with us, and we will see you again. Thanks, Erin.
Bye.